Okay, in this tutorial I will show you how to create a basic room in Soma's level editor. In this part I will be showing you how to place objects, more specifically static objects, entities, and you should know. Mods folder, test map. And yeah, we are going to delete this. First we will place some walls, so we should set our snap separation to a value such as 0.5 or 1. Go into the station, walls folder, and search for lab walls, since they are very easy to use. We'll start with some basic walls. Remember that you can hold left mouse button and press Q and W to rotate the object, or you can also press X to not snap on the grid, but that isn't recommended in this case. You can see how easily the walls snap when using this grid scale. This window should be visible on both sides, but here you can see a problem with snapping. You cannot move it properly, and this isn't good. So in order to properly do this, you must set the snap separation to something smaller, like 0.25 or 0.125 if that's the case. But 0.25 seems to be enough. And then put it back to 1 because we're doing walls right now. You can duplicate objects with Ctrl D and then move them through the world. Also, the higher your snap separation is, the slower you will rotate objects. You usually wish to use the concave and convex object walls because in some cases there might be clipping or missing textures for some corners if you simply go by using the default wall. And let's place a vent somewhere. In this case, you can use a combination of different walls instead of the concave ones, because lab walls are notoriously easy to use. You might want to use something for scale, so let's add a human character. In the character folder, station, there should be Catherine somewhere. Do not forget that you can use A for setting up the ambient light and P for the specular point light. And this should be a nice room outline. Let's add a small corridor to the other side. When rotating an object, you can either rotate it on the global coordinate system, or you can check the global transform. And you rotate the whole selection. Once again, remember to set the snap position at 1 because it's more it's better for levels, for walls. And this is one of the issues with it. You, after some point, you will not be able to do this because of the walls. So you might need to change it as you progress through the level. But it is good to know that you have this option. This is a special type of wall that is made to fit with a certain mesh. Okay, this should be enough for the moment. This is our room outline. Let's add some floor. We can either do this and manually add floors, floor tiles that are pre-made, or we could add our own textures by doing planes and primitives. But yeah, here I'm duplicating objects. One useful thing to note is that you are able to create your own compounds and then duplicate them as they are. So I will select all 4 objects, create a compound, name it custom floor, and then I can simply duplicate it and move it around. Let's align them up with the rest of the panels. And technically I could only leave 2 of them there, but I'm going to leave this since it's a 2D mesh. It's basically a plane, so it shouldn't be that hard on performance. And we can delete these 2 because they are really useless in this case. And now we have a walkable room. There is another way we can do this by using primitives. We go to the material and select the texture from static objects, station, and floor. Let's go with floor theta 02. Let's go into the top-down view because this is more useful for this. And we're going to set the snap separation from 0 to 0.5. And let's place the plane. Go into the perspective view and we will see this here. Our own texture, plane, and we can set the tile amount to something lower because we don't want it to seem too tiled. Okay, and this window will have it look outside, so let's place some rocks. Ocean button, I think it was. Delete the thing that you have been searching for. Or environment, rocks, and let's place some rocks. The thing to note about this is that the textures do not scale as much with these kind of objects as they do with others, so you can actually scale them up a lot. But make sure that they are of the same general scale, like 2, 2, 2, and not like 2, 5, 2. Then the textures might stretch a bit. We don't want any clipping, so we'll place them down. We can use the same object more than once and rotate it and maybe even scale it a bit. No. And it wouldn't be that noticeable. And let's place another mesh somewhere. This one looks nice. I think we'll have to scale it to a bigger value, 10, 10, 10. Yes, this should be enough for the moment. You will not be able to see past these doors because there will be a fog area later placed, so the further objects are, the less they will be visible, and the void will not be visible from that distance. And there's no, you won't see the rocks clipped there, so the outside environment is set up for the moment. Let's see if we have some vent static meshes that we can place here, and then we'll move on to entities. I think the vents were called maintenance. And let's move on to... No, we have to place the ceilings first. Usually you do not want to have a flat ceiling, so you will have to use something called welders. They basically give the ceiling a more complex shape, and they're usually around the wall. Set our height to 4. That's the default room height without welders. And let's see what entities we have here. We could use this as a welder if we set it to the right height. Let's go and use 0.25 for this. Or let's see if we can find another welder. This should also work. Yeah, it is shorter. Or we could do something else instead and keep both. Yeah, there will be slight clipping here. So to fix this kind of clipping, you have to not go and snap. And actually you can do this and simply modify the Y value a bit, like 0.01, and then the problem will be gone. Remember to use snapping once again. And this one you can use at normal height 4.75, and there will be no noticeable difference. Most of the time people will not notice clipping that much, but it is generally good to avoid it. I kinda lost my patience and did not do those corners. And for the actual ceiling, we will make another plane. This time for this whole room. And we'll go into roof, and let's go with this 0.5 again, or 0.5, yes, and let's see if we can get the whole room covered. We'll do this 0.5 and 0.5 again, and rotate the object by 180 degrees, and let's move it so that it covers the whole. Okay, here there is some clipping here. So we have a very basic room, and we should do the same for this one. And we'll extend this to be for the whole room. Okay, so we have a relatively functional room at the moment. Just need to look for a few objects. Okay, entities are basically static objects that you can modify, have more stuff to modify. This might not have been made for this kind of event, so let's see what other. Okay, it looks like this but slightly larger. .1.102. Yeah, let's go with this. 1.1 and 1.85. Yeah, this will work. And let's place a few vents. Again, this will not be an accessible area, so it does not have to fit perfectly. And we'll make this a wow area, so we'll go to robots and walls. We'll scale this down a bit. Robot assets actually give you a lot of freedom, but they are a bit hard to use, so be wary of this. And this should be a wow thing sometime. It will eventually become one. Now time to place some doors. Snapping really helps with doors. And the fans. There should be a pre-made asset. Now if you turn off the lights, you will notice that it is very dark. So let's us add something very basic for the moment. Point lights. Also, let's set up the colors for a bit. We want this room to have a slightly bluish light. The outside should have a dark cyan light. This area should have a faint blue light. That's more pronounced than that blue light. And let's have a hallway with yellow lights just for some variety. Now we might want to test it for a bit. Let's place a player start area. And move it so that it does not clip to the floor. The player should start here. Now we go to the Soma folder, launch somadev.bat, wait for it to load, press F1, load map, and we load our map in mods, test map, and test map. This way we can see how the area will look in game. There is no clipping. There are no clipping issues at the moment. The outside looks okay. And we can see this other room. You can press F7 to go into no clip mode or camera mode. And we'll resume creating this in the editor.